Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Stan Reacts. Right now we're going to go over Jordan Peterson's new video, It's Time to Live. Let's see what he has to say.
Hello everyone. It's mid-January 2022. I wrote a column this week for one of Canada's major newspapers, the National Post. And I thought I'd read it for those of you who want to watch or listen. It's entitled, Time to Live Again. I spent more than 3 hours on the phone last week.
Yeah, we're here for it. If you don't know, I love Jordan Peterson. I think I love the work that he puts out, the messages that he puts out. You know, from his beginning, I believe in freedom of speech, and I've read two of his books, Maps of Meaning and 12 Rules. If you haven't had the chance to either audiobook them, which is what I did, or go check his books out from maybe a library or buy them on Amazon or do something like that, definitely give it a shot, especially if you're a young man, because if you're a young man, Jordan Peterson is a North Star for a lot of young men, and he's got a lot to give, you know. Just like anybody, take everything with a grain of salt, make your own choices in life, but he's definitely not a bad role model for young men or women for that matter.
Time to live again. I spent more than 3 hours on the phone last weekend trying to get through to the online security department of one of Canada's major banks. One of my accounts was shut down because I had the effrontery to sign in from Alberta, an event too unexpected for the bank's security systems. I was placed on hold interminably, subjected all the while to the corporate world's idea of music to soothe me. I was then offered a call back, which I duly received 45 minutes later. Then I was placed on hold again and again and again. This all occurred after my patience had already been exhausted in the aftermath of trying to fly in Canada. Like so many Canadians, I have been unable to see many of the people I love and who are tolerant enough to return the sentiment for nearly 2 years. Lockdowns, restrictions, limits on personal and social gatherings, precautions. But everything had opened up enough in principle, so flights for such purposes were, in principle, once again possible. My wife and I therefore took the opportunity on the last day of 2021.
Hopefully we can get past this coronavirus stuff soon. I mean, me personally, I'm over it. I've been over it. In fact, I already punched that clock. I'm done. I'm smooth sailing from here on out. I had COVID. I think I had it a second time, the Omicron or whatever. I think I've had it, right? So like at this point, luckily, I don't want to say that super ignorantly. Luckily, I'm a young man, right? And I live pretty healthy. So it affected me like a cold, right? Just like any common cold. But that doesn't mean that I'm not being insensitive to the people that have absolutely suffered and lost people to this. I'm one of the lucky ones in this case, right? For this particular disease, if you're in the same age group, you're probably sitting in the same boat. But the lockdowns affected a lot of people mentally. And if you've never thought about that and now you're thinking about it, watching this video, you might be thinking about some people that you should probably try to get in touch with and just see how they're doing, because they might have been living a different life, right? If they were working from home, isolated, any sort of thing like that, you might want to reach out to those people. Anyway, sorry, Mr. Peterson, let's get it. Dr. Peterson.
So flights for such purposes were, in principle, once again possible. My wife and I therefore took the opportunity on the last day of 2021 to fly first to Comox, British Columbia, and then several days later to our joint hometown of Fairview, Alberta. However, the airline we had arranged our flights with canceled/delayed all 6 flights we had scheduled. Furthermore, they had no staff available in one entire wing of Edmonton's airport. This made rescheduling prohibitively difficult. We were delayed by 1 full day traveling to British Columbia, and then another day traveling to Alberta. And there were further delays on our way home to Toronto. This took quite a chunk out of an 8-day trip. All this from an airline that not so long ago was a model of efficiency. Like most people in Canada and in the broader Western world, my wife and I are accustomed to systems that work. When we booked flights in the past, with rare exceptions, we arrived safely and on time. When we used our banking systems online, we gained access to our accounts. When we had to phone security because of a login problem, we were able to talk to someone who was able to help. And because we were spoiled Westerners, we expected that such would always and consistently be the case. Why?
Sorry for the pause. But, that just makes you grateful for the things that you have. Me personally, I thank God. I think God has blessed me with everything I have because I don't deserve it. And I have more than I need. My cup runs over. But, it does make you grateful for the things that you might not have been grateful for before. Or that you even ever thought about, just stuff in the background, Maybe your Uber showed up on time. Maybe you got to the airport in time to have a cup of coffee before you had to get on your flight. Like certain little things that you now are super grateful for because you're lucky to even be able to take a flight at this point, right?
Because by and large our systems worked miraculously well. The power and the heat, it's 40 below here in northern Alberta and has been for 3 weeks, always worked. Planes took off and landed on time. Banks were open and effective and honest. But there are empty shelves in the grocery stores here in Fairview. The supply chains that provide our food just in time are severely stressed. While I was here, I spoke with a local restaurateur who operates the pizza place I worked in 40 years ago. She is barely hanging on. This is true of most local businesses. I was on the phone for 3 hours trying to sort out a minor banking issue.
During the pandemic, right, it started off with toilet paper shortage, and then for me personally, I was dealing with lumber shortages, trying to build my wood shop. The thing that you normally could get all the time, is just not there. You can normally go to a Walmart and get whatever you need. I think it was a good eye opener for everybody. Everybody. It sucked, but it was a blessing in disguise, I think.
I was on the phone for 3 hours trying to sort out a minor banking issue after being delayed for a full day while flying, after having been delayed in a similar way only 4 days before. And because I'm an entitled Westerner accustomed to my privileges, I got whiny about it. I have a banker that takes care of my affairs, and I sent him and his associate a string of complaints about the service I was receiving. They wrote back apologetically and told me that they're barely able to function with the COVID restrictions, the attendant staff shortages, also caused by illness, and their inability to attract new employees, a problem besetting many industries at the moment.
Well, if you pay everybody to sit on their ass, guess what? People aren't going to work. Come on, dude. I mean, that's simple math right there. Huh? Wait, you'll write me a check if I just hang out at home? Well, I worked through the whole pandemic. Ongoing pandemic. Is it still ongoing? I'm not really sure. It kind of died out, and then now it's back with Omicron. Yeah, I worked through the whole thing, man. I didn't get any free pay, right? And if you did, I'm not hating on you, but it's time to go back to work because, we need to get this country functioning again.
New employees, a problem besetting many industries at the moment. I am not accustomed to feeling particularly sympathetic for the travails of large, successful enterprises, banks, airlines, utilities, and the like. I expect a certain standard of service so that I can conduct my own affairs effectively, and am impatient when delays unnecessary in the normal course of things emerge. The letter from the bank stopped me and made me think, however. It wasn't just the bank. It was also the airline. It was the empty shelves in the grocery store in northern Alberta. It was the daughter of the man I once worked for as a cook back when I was a teenager. It was the shopkeepers and small business people I have spoken with on this trip. We are pushing the complex systems upon which we depend and which are miraculously effective and efficient in their often thankless operation to the breaking point. Can you think of anything more unlikely than the fact that we can get instant, trouble-free access to our money online using systems that are virtually graft and corruption-free? Just imagine how much work, trust, and efficiency was and is necessary to make that a reality.
Absolutely.
Can you think of anything more unlikely than fast, reliable, and inexpensive jet air travel, nationally and internationally, in absolute safety? Or the constant provision of almost every consumer good imaginable in the midst of plentiful, varied, and inexpensive food? These systems are now shaking. We're compromising them seriously with this unending and unpredictable stream of restrictions, lockdowns, regulations, and curfews. Yeah. We're also undermining our entire monetary system with the provision of unending largesse from government coffers to ease the stress of COVID response. We're playing with fire. We've demolished 2 Christmas seasons in a row. Life is short. These are rare occasions. We're stopping kids from attending school. We're sowing mistrust in our institutions in a seriously dangerous manner. We're frightening people to make them comply. We're producing bureaucratic institutions that hypothetically hold public health in the highest regard, but subordinating all our properly political institutions to that end because we lack leadership and rely on ultimately unreliable opinion polls to govern broad-scale policy at the political level. I've never seen breakdown in institutional trust on this scale before in my lifetime. I was recently in Nashville, Tennessee. No lockdowns, no masks, no COVID regulations to speak of. People are going about their lives. Why can that be the case in Tennessee and in other U.S. states such as Florida when there are curfews in Quebec?
I live in Idaho. So in Idaho, had some stuff, like you had to wear a mask to go to the grocery store for a little bit. But the state that I live in is still America. It is one of the only ways. I don't mean that offensively, but I just mean like it's still free to a point, right? Like that's one of the benefits of living in a more conservative state, I guess. Now, I'm not going to go into politics or anything like that, and I don't really sit in any sort of this side or that. But I will tell you this. I believe in freedom, and I believe that this is America still. Regardless if you think you need to wear a mask, you don't need to wear a mask. Look, are you happy to be free? And I am. And I'm so grateful to live where I am. I live in God's country. So
such as Florida, when there are curfews in Quebec 2 years after the pandemic started, with a vaccination rate of nearly 80%. When BC is still limiting social gatherings, when we are putting tremendous and unsustainable strain on all the complex systems that have served us so well and made us so comfortable in the midst of the troubles of our lives. The cure has become worse than the disease. I have recently spoken with senior advisors to provincial governments in Canada. There is no endgame in sight. The idea that Canadian policy is or should be governed by the science is not only not true, it's also not possible, as there is no simple pathway from the facts of science to the complexities of policy. We are deciding by opinion poll to live in fear and to become increasingly authoritarian in response to that fear. That's a danger too, and it's increasingly real. How long are we going to flail about, hiding behind our masks, afraid to send our children, who are in no danger more serious than risk of the flu, to school, charging university students full tuition for 10th-rate online education, pitting family member against family member over vaccine policy, and, most seriously, compromising the great economic engine upon which our health also depends.
Yeah.
Until we decide not to. There are no risk-free paths forward. There's only one risk or another. Pick your poison. That's the choice life offers.
Yep.
I am weary of living under the increasingly authoritarian dictates of a polity hyper-concerned with one risk and oblivious to all others. And things are shaking around us. Enough, Canadians. Enough, Canadian politicos. Enough masks. Enough social gathering limitations. Enough restaurant closures. Enough undermining of political and social trust. Make the bloody...
It's not just Canada, man. I mean, there's a lot of spots in the U.S. under the same guidelines.
Enough undermining of political and social trust. Make the bloody vaccines available to those who want them. Quit using force to ensure compliance on the part of those who don't. Some of the latter might be crazy, but by and large, they're no crazier than the rest of us. Set a date. Open the damn country back up before we wreck something we can't fix.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You watched it with me. It's time to live. Jordan Peterson's new video. Anyway, stay safe, stay healthy, stand up for yourself and for your rights, regardless of where you are. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Go check out Jordan Peterson if you've never checked him out. He's got some great books out. They're on audio book. You can listen to them on Amazon. Yeah, I'll see you on the next one.